The envelope landed on Nico Serrano's desk with a softness more dangerous than a gunshot. Vivienne Hale stood across from him, composed as always. Only her clenched hand betrayed her. "My resignation is effective immediately," she said. "No transition period shall be required or permitted." For 4 years, Vivienne had managed every crisis meeting and secret that kept the Serrano empire standing. She had never abandoned a task. She had never failed to look him in the eye. Today, she did both. Nico rose. "Who wrote that sentence?" The doors opened before she answered. Cassian Vero entered Serrano Tower without waiting to be invited. Beyond the glass doors, his black car idled at the curb. "She doesn't work for you anymore," Cassian said. He placed a contract on the desk. "Vivienne has accepted a position as my executive advisor." Then he called her Mira. Nico went still. "Look at me," he told her. "Tell me this is your choice." For one terrible second, her control almost broke. Then she raised her eyes. "Yes," she said. "It's my choice." Cassian rested a hand against her back and led her toward the exit. Nico did not stop them. He could not after she had chosen her words in front of his men. But the crystal glass in his hand cracked before the doors closed. As Cassian's car pulled away, Nico believed the woman he trusted most had betrayed him. He did not know she had just traded her freedom to keep a forged file from turning his own counsel against him. The black car vanished beyond Serrano Tower's gates, and no one in the lobby moved until Nico turned from the glass. "Lock her credentials," Adrian Vale said. "Suspend them," Nico replied. "Nothing more." Vivienne's desk was bare. A ceramic cup remained beside a clean blotter, and a pale square marked where her calendar had rested. 4 years of order had become an absence no one dared mention. 3 council members waited outside Nico's office. "She knew our contracts and accounts," one said. "Declare her hostile before Vero uses her. No pursuit." "You watched her leave with Cassian." "I heard her resign. Until I know those are the same thing, no one touches her." Nico opened the top drawer. Inside lay the black enamel fountain pen he had given Vivienne after she saved the Caldera negotiation. Its silver engraving pressed against his thumb. "No one speaks for you." She had carried it into every important meeting since. Leaving it behind felt like rejection. Yet Vivienne never abandoned useful things or signed serious documents with another pen. Beneath it, dried ink curved across the wood. 2 deliberate strokes formed a small, unfinished M. Adrian returned with a tablet. "Her files are sealed. Her apartment is empty. The car east side traffic camera." The footage showed Cassian's vehicle waiting at the curb. A timestamp glowed in the corner. It had arrived 17 minutes before Vivienne submitted her resignation. Nico replayed the clip. The car had been there before she crossed the lobby, before the envelope touched his desk, before she claimed the decision was hers. His rage cooled into calculation. "She didn't call him after she quit," Nico said. Adrian's expression tightened. Nico stared at the car, waiting for a woman who had not yet resigned. He knew she was leaving before I did. Nico watched the footage until the waiting car became an accusation. "Who knew her schedule?" he asked. Adrian stood beside the console. "You, me, and Vivienne. No one else. Not unless one of us told them." Nico enlarged the recording. Cassian's driver never checked the entrance or made a call. He had not arrived hoping she would come. He had arrived expecting her. "Pull every access log from the executive floor," Nico said. Quietly, the council hears nothing. Across the city, Vivienne entered Vero Dominion headquarters. A woman collected her phone watch and keycard. 2 guards escorted her upstairs. The office waiting for her was larger than Nico's conference room. Glass walls overlooked the river. A silver nameplate already read, Vivienne Hale, Executive Advisor. Cassian entered carrying a folder. "You prepared this before I agreed," she said. "I prepared for the intelligent outcome. The contract offered enough salary and authority to look like freedom. Its final clause gave Vero Dominion access to every work product she created." Vivienne left the pen untouched. "My resignation was the agreement. It was the first condition." Cassian nodded toward a black lens above the door. "One call to Serrano, one attempt to leave one private message, and the file goes to his counsel. You said you wanted my expertise. I do." His gaze lingered. "But I also want you to understand where you are safest." Vivienne opened the folder. The first pages contained assignments designed to expose Serrano trade patterns. She kept still while counting cameras' exits and network ports. Then Cassian slid one final sheet across the glass. It was an old sworn statement marked confidential. At the top, beneath a photograph she had not seen in 6 years, was the name she had buried: Mira Laurent. Vivienne did not touch the page. Cassian watched her recognize the photograph. "Mira Laurent," he said. "Forensic auditor, informant, thief. I exposed accounts your people built. You stole data and vanished under another name." He turned the page. Her statement carried her signature, but 3 paragraphs had been added claims that she entered Serrano Tower on official instructions and gathered evidence against Nico. "That was not in my testimony. It is now." Vivienne kept still. Nico's counsel would not wait for explanations. They would see a spy who had lived beside their secrets for 4 years. Cassian slid a shipping proposal toward her. "Tell me how Serrano will respond." "He will reject it." "Why the guarantees are too generous. He will assume the real leverage is elsewhere." Cassian smiled. "You still know him better than anyone." Vivienne studied the routing tables. In one corner, a server reference read M4 Origin Meridian System. Cassian had changed companies, but not the bones beneath them. She marked 3 revisions. 2 were harmless. The third would steer him toward a route Nico would never use. Across the city, Nico read Vivienne's resignation again. The transition sentence had sounded wrong from the moment she spoke it. Vivienne wrote with precision, never needless cruelty. Adrian entered with archived Vero contracts. Nico found the phrase on page 21. "No transition period shall be required or permitted." The wording was identical. Back inside the glass office, Cassian gathered the papers. "You should accept what this can become, Mira. Do not call me that. Then give me a reason to keep calling you Vivienne." The door locked behind him. She studied the Meridian code. Cassian had brought her close enough to his system to find what he thought she had forgotten. The identical sentence sat beneath Nico's hand like a fingerprint. Adrian spread 6 Vero contracts across the table. Each contained the same rigid clause whenever Cassian wanted an agreement ended without appeal. "It could mean she used his template willingly," Councilman Rusk said. "Vivienne would resign in blood before borrowing another man's language," Nico replied. "Then prove coercion before her access becomes a weapon." Across the city, Cassian brought Vivienne to the Marcellus Exchange, where cameras waited outside a negotiation with neutral shipping houses. His hand hovered at her back. "Smile," he murmured. "Serrano's people are watching. I thought you wanted my expertise. I want him to understand what he lost." Inside, Cassian asked her to predict Nico's response to an eastern corridor. The route appeared profitable, but a buried insurance clause would make Serrano liable if customs delayed one vessel. Vivienne wrote that Nico would seize the offer immediately. Cassian's advisors relaxed. Her report was sent through channels they knew Serrano monitored. An hour later, Nico read it. Adrian frowned. She knows you would never accept that route. She also knows I distrust anything promising immediate profit. Nico checked the appendix and found the hidden liability. 4 years earlier, during a compromised merger, Vivienne had reversed every conclusion in a briefing. The mistakes marked the sections he needed to distrust. By midnight, Serrano withdrew before Cassian's intermediaries could lock the corridor. Nico placed her report beside the resignation letter. One carried Cassian's language, the other carried Vivienne's warning. For the first time since she entered that car, his anger gave way to certainty. Vivienne was not helping Cassian win. She was showing Nico where the trap was. Nico kept Vivienne's false recommendation beside the resignation letter until dawn. Find Mira Laurent, he told Adrian. Not through council channels. By noon, Adrian returned with an archive. Mira had been a forensic auditor in an independent inquiry 6 years earlier. She disappeared after taking data from shell companies linked to Vero interests. The council would call it proof of infiltration. Nico saw something else. 3 dates in the sworn statement had been corrected in different ink. A witness certification appeared before the interview it supposedly verified. One paragraph claimed Serrano recruited Mira before Nico had met Vivienne. She lied about her name, Adrian said. Yes, and she may have entered your office with a purpose. Nico closed the file. Then why spend 4 years protecting decisions that cost her more than they cost me? At Vero Dominion, Cassian placed a drink near Vivienne. Nico will have the file by now. You sound pleased. He will see that you were never merely his secretary. He will see what you edited. Cassian's smile thinned. He will see what men like him always see first: betrayal. He offered to destroy the record if she stopped resisting, signed the remaining clauses, and accepted that Vero Dominion could protect her better than Serrano. Vivienne looked through the glass wall at the guards. A cage is not protection because the furniture is expensive. For the first time, irritation broke through his courtesy. Back at Serrano Tower, Nico reached the final page. According to Cassian's evidence, Nico had hired Mira Laurent 9 months before he first saw Vivienne Hale walk into his office. Nico turned the page toward Adrian. This file does not prove she betrayed me. His voice went cold. It proves someone began writing the betrayal before we met. By morning, Cassian had turned Vivienne's prison into a promotion. A new staff waited outside her glass office. Her badge opened executive floors, financial briefings, and negotiation rooms. Every privilege was visible. So were the cameras. Cassian placed a portfolio before her. You wanted authority. Now you have it. Authority without the right to leave is decoration. You could stop treating this as captivity. You could unlock the door. His expression remained pleasant. Review the Valmir acquisition. The deal would give Vero control over 3 warehouses near Serrano territory. Cassian expected her to predict Nico's retaliation. Instead, Vivienne found a financing clause that would trap Vero capital for months without threatening Serrano routes. She recommended an aggressive bid. By afternoon, Cassian approved it. You are adapting, he said. I am working. There is a difference. For people who have a choice. Later, an assistant escorted her through the records level. Vivienne counted 2 guards, 4 cameras, and 1 steel door without a keypad. Cassian pressed his thumb to a hidden scanner. The lock released for less than 3 seconds. Inside, paper ledgers filled climate-controlled shelves. A terminal displayed the same M4 origin code she had seen upstairs. Meridian was not only on Cassian's network. The original records were here. Vivienne slowed near the threshold, pretending to study a file while memorizing the scanner and camera cycle. Cassian watched her too closely. That evening he joined her beside the glass wall as city lights spread below. "I know you protected Serrano with that corridor report," he said. Her pulse tightened, but she did not turn. Cassian leaned nearer. "So decide what matters more, Mira. Keeping Nico alive or letting him learn who you really are?" Nico returned to Vivienne's desk after midnight. The black enamel pen lay beneath a forensic lamp. Adrian had already tested the ink mark in the drawer. It was not accidental, he said. 2 separate strokes. Same ink as the pen. Under ultraviolet light, the unfinished M revealed a second line, hidden beneath the first, a narrow diagonal used in old accounting marks. Adrian placed a Meridian transaction beside it. The symbols matched. M for Mira, Adrian said, and Meridian Nico replied. The anger he had carried since the lobby shifted into something heavier. Vivienne had not left him an apology. She had left a route. Nico closed the office door. "No council briefings. From now on, this stays with us. Who else someone Cassian cannot buy through loyalty?" Helena Ward arrived before dawn. An attorney known for exposing forged records, she refused Nico's men at the door and carried her own evidence case inside. "You want truth," she said, "or a document that lets you keep believing her the truth?" Helena examined the Laurent statement seals and court copies. Nico watched her compare ink density file histories and registry stamps while Adrian traced the Meridian mark through old banking systems. At sunrise, Helena placed 2 pages side by side. The original statement was notarized on April 9th, she said. These paragraphs accusing Mira Laurent of entering Serrano under instruction were inserted on April 12th. 3 days later, Adrian said, after the document was legally closed. Nico's jaw tightened. "Can you prove who altered it?" "Not yet. But I can prove Cassian's version is not the statement she signed." Nico looked at the pen. Vivienne had trusted him to understand one letter. Now he had proof someone had rewritten her past, after she lost the power to defend it. Cassian reserved the upper floor of a private restaurant for 2. No guards sat at the table yet. Vivienne saw their reflections in the windows. Her metal card case rested beside her plate, its recorder running. Cassian poured wine. "Nico gave you responsibility in private. I am giving you power where everyone can see it. You gave me a title inside a locked building. I gave you a place beside me. You mean under your control." His smile held. "Serrano loved your loyalty. I admire the part of you that refuses to kneel. That is not love. It could become more than what he offered." Cassian placed a key card between them. He promised unrestricted access protection from prosecution and destruction of the Laurent file if she chose to remain after the crisis. Vivienne left it untouched. "What happened to the investigation 6 years ago?" she asked. "You know it collapsed. I do not know who made it collapse." Vanity overtook caution. "The inquiry was poorly directed," Cassian said. "Statements were adjusted. Investigators were encouraged toward a more useful conclusion." Useful to whom? To the man capable of surviving the transition. The recorder captured every word. "And your brother?" she asked. "He mistook inheritance for competence. So you used my evidence to remove him. I allowed the truth to reach the right hands, then buried the rest." Cassian leaned nearer. "I saved you from men who would have made you disappear. You created the danger." His expression softened into something worse than anger. "I noticed you before Serrano ever did, Mira." Vivienne closed the card case. Cassian had admitted the investigation was manipulated. Then he added almost tenderly, I was the one who made sure you found Meridian in the first place. Vivienne kept her face still while the recorder captured the silence. You planted the accounts, she said. I opened a door, Cassian replied. You were principled enough to walk through it. 6 years earlier, his brother controlled Vero Dominion through alliances Cassian could not challenge. Cassian needed corruption evidence to fracture that support. He leaked Meridian's weakest trail to the one auditor he knew would refuse a bribe. Vivienne. When I copied the files, you knew. I counted on it. And when I gave them to investigators, I redirected the inquiry. My brother fell. The useful accounts vanished. You became the thief. Cassian had not found her secret. He had designed it. You destroyed my name. I preserved your life. You followed me. I watched you rebuild. Then you chose Serrano. Vivienne saw the patience behind his obsession. Cassian had waited until she became indispensable to Nico, then pulled the thread tied around her life years earlier. You did not bring me here for contracts. I brought you here because Nico built his strength around the woman I created. No, you created a threat. I created myself. Anger broke through his composure. Cassian placed a sealed statement before her. It accused Nico of ordering her infiltration, protecting her false identity, and using Meridian against Vero interests. In 48 hours, both councils and neutral partners will meet behind closed doors, he said. You will read this. And if I refuse, the forged file reaches Nico's council before the meeting begins. Vivienne looked at the man who believed 6 years of manipulation gave him ownership of her future. Beneath her palm, the recorder held every word. Cassian smiled. After you destroy him, Mira, you will understand, I am the only man who never lost sight of you. 48 hours became 36 before Nico saw Helena's report. The Laurent statement was altered after notarization, she said. The added paragraphs are fraudulent, enough to clear her, enough to destroy Cassian's version, not enough to expose Meridian. Nico closed the file. Then we take her out tonight. Adrian did not move. And if she has spent 6 days building something inside Vero, she is being held. Forcing entry tells her again that powerful men decide what happens to her. The words landed harder than accusation. Vivienne's pen rested across Nico's palm. The engraving caught the light. No one speaks for you. He had meant it when he gave it to her. Yet when she disappeared, he answered fear with command and danger with possession. What do you suggest we attend the council meeting? Adrian said. Secure every exit, then let her choose when we move. Nico hated the plan because it required what power could not guarantee. Trust. At Vero Dominion, Vivienne used Cassian's temporary clearance to enter the records level. She had mapped the cameras, timed the guards, and hidden a transfer protocol inside an audit. Cassian pressed his thumb to the scanner. You wanted access. Prove you deserve it. He left her before the terminal, certain every command was logged. Vivienne opened the Valmir files, then buried a second request beneath them. Meridian directories unfolded shell companies, fabricated transfers, payments tied to the war that weakened Nico's father. Her card case began receiving the copy. 40%. 68. 92. A red warning flashed. Unauthorized archive extraction. Steel locks engaged throughout the floor. Vivienne removed the card case as footsteps struck the corridor. The copy had stopped at 92%. Cassian was coming back. The closed council convened beneath the customs house where no phones or guards were permitted. Nico entered with Adrian and Helena. Cassian arrived with Vivienne at his side. Every eye followed her. Cassian placed the prepared statement on the table. Miss Hale will confirm that Serrano used her false identity to infiltrate Vero interests. Nico saw tension in her shoulders, the metal card case in her hand, and the guard behind her. He did not speak. Cassian smiled. Read it. Vivienne unfolded the pages. My name is Vivienne Hale, she began, formerly Mira Laurent. A murmur moved through the councils. I entered this world under another name. But Nico Serrano did not send me. Cassian Vero rewrote my testimony after it was notarized, threatened to give that forgery to Serrano's counsel, and forced me to stand beside him. Cassian rose. Enough. Vivienne opened the card case. His recorded voice filled the chamber. Statements were adjusted. Investigators were encouraged toward a more useful conclusion. I was the one who made sure you found Meridian. The room went silent. Helena distributed certified copies proving the Laurent statement had been altered after notarization. Adrian sealed the exits as Vero council members turned toward Cassian. He looked at Nico. You let her perform this because you lack the courage to take her back. Nico remained still. Vivienne answered, No. He finally understood that I was never his to take. Cassian recovered first. A recording and altered papers proved nothing without the original ledger. Vivienne connected the card case to the terminal. The Meridian archive appeared, then froze. File integrity failure. One section had been corrupted. Cassian smiled. Without the original transaction chain, every confession could still be dismissed as manipulation. The corrupted file pulsed on the council screen. Cassian smiled. You have fragments, not proof. Vivienne lifted the card case. The extraction was never meant to stay in one place. At 92%, her protocol had split the archive. The shell company records remained in the case. The missing transaction chain had moved through Valmir's audit channel to Helena. Helena connected her drive. The archive completed. Authorization keys, fabricated transfers and payments tied Cassian to the war that weakened Nico's father. Every entry matched the paper ledgers beneath Vero Dominion. Cassian faced his counsel. This can be explained. No one answered. A Vero director suspended him. Neutral partners froze contracts. Helena sent the file to investigators. Cassian looked at Nico as if violence were the last language left. Nico did not move. Vivienne did. You do not get to turn what you did to me into another war. By sunrise, Cassian faced charges of extortion, forgery, obstruction, and conspiracy. His accounts were frozen, and allies surrendered records. Weeks later, Vivienne entered Serrano Tower by appointment. Nico placed the enamel pen between them. I believed evidence before I believed you, he said. I let jealousy become judgment. I thought protecting you gave me the right to decide for you. Vivienne set down her contract. She would serve as an independent strategic advisor, never his direct subordinate. No surveillance without consent. No personal demand disguised as professional loyalty. No silence chosen for the other person. Nico signed without changing a word. Vivienne picked up the pen and wrote Vivienne Hale, formerly Mira Laurent. She closed the contract. Dinner, she said. Outside. No business. Nico understood being chosen required leaving her free to walk away. Cassian had spent 6 years believing that knowing Vivienne's secret gave him ownership of her future. Nico had nearly made the opposite mistake, believing love gave him the right to protect her without first trusting her. Both men were wrong. The Meridian files restored the truth Cassian had rewritten, but the greater victory was not hidden in frozen accounts or sealed indictments. It was written in Vivienne's own hand. She kept the black enamel pen, not as a promise to Nico and not as a relic of Mira Laurent, but as proof that neither name had been erased. Nico did not ask her to return to the desk she had left. He waited outside the boundaries she had drawn and let every step toward him remain hers. So what matters more in love, protecting someone from danger or trusting them enough to face the truth beside you?